Throughout the past round, the negative team has come in and presented a lot of arguments on the stock issues. And while I will be responding to these and showing how, in fact, our case still fulfills all four stock issues, I'd like to point out one thing, and that is the fact that they have presented no disadvantages to our plan. Meaning that in the end of the day, even if you believe that we might not be 100% solvent, there is no reason not to pass our plan. They have presented no reason, no danger to the passage of our plan. No danger to the economy, no danger to the American people. There's absolutely no reason why we should forego 1 million jobs and a 14 trillion increase in GDP. But with that said, I'd like to move into the arguments that they presented. Let's start off with the criterion, because I believe that that's the most important argument. They basically came up and they said that the growth would just be for a little while and it wasn't the average American. My one response is policies are focused. If a policy was judged on how it affects every single person in the United States quantifiably, then no policy would be passed. We're just trying to benefit as many people as we possibly can in the most effective manner, and that's exactly what our plan is doing. $14.4 trillion increase in GDP, $2 trillion in wage increase, and 1 million new jobs. These are 1 million people who will be vastly affected. This is the biggest benefit that any policy could possibly get, and we believe that that's a warrant to pass our plan. But let's move into this solvency arguments presented by the second negative constructive. The first solvency point was U.S. production increases prices. I have one response, and that is correlation, not causation. Now, in cross-examination, the negative team admitted that the only logical explanation, the only logical outcome of increasing a supply was a lower price. Now, their evidence completely contradicted this. This is because gas prices are very unpredictable. There are so many other factors, since it's a world market. There are so many other factors that affect this. So the correlation does not mean it's causing higher gas prices. Let's move into the second solvency point. They basically said that there is no promise of jobs, that jobs vanish. I have two responses. The first is 30-year horizon. Our evidence was talking about jobs that would be sustained throughout 30 years. That's a lifetime job. That's a job that's very substantial, and we believe that that is a long-term benefit. But my second response is 3 phases. Now, they're talking about infrastructure being built, and then suddenly the jobs vanish. But this isn't the case. There are 3 phases to drilling. The first is exploration, finding where the oil is. The second is drilling, actually building the infrastructure and extracting it. And the third is refining, which is refining the oil into gasoline and other products. So all 3 of these phases provide jobs, and this is a very long-term and long process which will provide sustainable economic growth. Under the third solvency point, they basically said that the leased areas, 80% of the oil was already opened. I have a few responses. The first is we disagree. We don't believe that 80% of the oil is actually open because we believe that 101 billion barrels are unused, and that's a very substantial amount. But my second response is caused by 20%. Even if their number is true, that only 20% more land would be opened with our plan, if we look at the numbers, currently in the oil industry, 9 million jobs are supported by oil and gas. If we open up 20% more, it is only logical to assume that it would create all these economic benefits. It would create 1 million more jobs. So in the end, this is just another warrant to pass our plan. Under the fourth solvency point, they basically said it includes all areas, lands, and waters. I have a few responses. The first is context. We believe that the context of the article is indeed talking about the OCS, but then again, we can't always bring up other numbers to prove that. And my second response is near that number. Now, even if it doesn't include, they cannot mitigate our significance because 14 trillion is a huge amount. We in fact have other numbers that support this claim. Unfortunately, I don't have time to read that evidence. But let's move into the significance point, the significance point. They basically said that there's no guarantee of oil to be drilled. And I have one response, 2 responses actually. The first is 500 companies. If 500 companies wanting the passage of our plan is not enough guarantee of their commitment to drilling in the OCS, I don't know what is. This is as much advocacy as you could possibly get. But my second response is study. The study takes into account the fact that companies are profit-driven, and they want to get 1 million jobs, they want to get profit, and therefore they will drill in the OCS. under inherency, I have two responses. The first is sustainable growth. Now, the fact that there are leases that we'll have to get and that we will have to explore these areas just talks about the fact that we will have sustainable growth. That each production phase, the investment, the production, and refining will cause jobs as it is. My second response is warrant for plan. The fact that these benefits are in the future is a warrant for our plan. We have to pass it as soon as possible to get this economic growth as soon as possible and impact the livelihoods of many, and that is why I strongly urge an affirmative ballot. Thank you.
Starting negative time.
Thank you. How much time do we have left?
A minute and 40 seconds.
All right, thank you.